Hello and welcome to the New Health Conversation. I started this movement and it's something I think we sorely need today. We're honored to be interviewing Dr. Paul Arciero, arguably one of the greatest nutritional researchers in the last almost 4 decades. And he just has been awarded an incredible honor. He's now a full tenured professor at the Department of Sports Medicine and Nutrition at the University of Pittsburgh. So welcome, Dr. Arciero. I'm really excited about this series that we're going to be doing. So I want to start out with something that really bothers me. I get inundated on a daily basis with all these, I call them lotions, potions, schemes, whatever, about weight loss. So what they say, they talk about the fact that the nutrition supplement or diet programs, they talk about scientific studies and not peer-reviewed. So why is this such a game changer when you have a peer-reviewed study, which, by the way, I think I'm clear, there is no nutrition supplement or diet company anywhere that's ever done a peer-reviewed study other than the one you conducted using the R2M protocol and intermittent nutritional fasting and protein pacing, which you champion. So if you can address that, I think it's a good way to start this series for people to really understand how significant it is and why it's so important not to rely on this hype, whether it's TikTok or Twitter or Instagram or any of these things. Okay, so I think that's a great way to start this.
It is, Peter, and thanks for having me. Research is not considered credible, valid, evidence-based unless it's been peer-reviewed. Many people talk about doing research. Many companies claim they have research on their products, but it's usually secondary research, meaning it's borrowed science. They're borrowing the science that has been conducted and published in a peer-reviewed journal on one part of an ingredient that's found within their products. And so they borrow that science that's been done on this one substance and claim that it's the same result that you can get by consuming their product. That's what we call borrowed science. They're borrowing the science from what has been conducted on the original ingredient or supplement or nutritional substance. And so what I want to just set the record straight on is that what peer-reviewed science is science that has been conducted by a third-party independent lab with complete objectivity, removed from the funding source, from the company, from the association. It's been done by a third-party independent scientific research lab. And once they've obtained the data, the findings from the study that has been conducted independently, they submit it to a reputable, credible, established scientific journal. And from there, the editors of the journal first vet it. That's the first step of the vetting process to determine whether the science is worthy of being published and shared to the world. And oftentimes the editors determine, in fact, I just did 2 of these this morning. I'm an editor on several journals, and so they send me the published studies. I do a first pass, it's called, to determine whether it's even worthy to then be submitted to the other experts around the world. So I'm an editor. I get to see these articles. I did 2 of them this morning, as I mentioned. One of which I declined. I said it's not worthy to be sent out for peer reviewed. The other one was. And so that's the first pass. The editors of the journal get to determine whether or not the research should be critically analyzed by experts in the field.
So the journal itself, they scrutinize whether or not it's even worthy to be peer reviewed, but they don't
send
actually,
it to people.
Right,
they send it to.
Right,
Yeah.
but they don't peer review it. That's why it's called peer reviewed, because really the journal wants to be neutral, right? But they obviously don't want to publish something that is a bunch of hogwash. So even though you're an editor, it's still going to get a second set of eyes, completely independent of you or the journal, whatever. Is that a good way to summarize what you're telling me?
Yes, it has to first pass the mustard with the editors, because if it doesn't get passed through the editors, then it doesn't go to the peer-reviewed experts out in the world. So I serve in both capacities. Most scientists who have been in the field for a period of time and have established themselves as a so-called leader and expert in the field, yeah, they often will assume both hats, in the process. But yes, you have to first get it past the editors, and then once it's past the editors, it goes on to the peer-reviewed reviewers. Yeah.
So it's a big deal, takes a long time, takes a lot of money, but
long time, a lot of money.
Just me being the skeptic that I am, I'm thinking the reason that these companies don't do peer-reviewed studies, because they'd be exposed that what they're claiming, there's no evidence based. A before and after picture is not evidence, right? I mean, it's
right.
Unless you have the scientific evidence. So yeah, so go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Yeah, so I think it's a huge risk for most nutrition companies, because you expose yourself to your shortcomings. You expose yourself to your limitations and your false claims by going through the review process. So for many of them, they shy away from this, or they only do what's called internal in-house research, which really is basically nothing. It's just a matter of them being completely biased to demonstrate that their nutritional products work, but they've never truly had it critically analyzed and vetted by third-party independent experts around the world. So yeah, that process of peer-reviewed publication is very stringent. It's very rigorous, and it doesn't come easy. So there's a lot of time, energy, resources, personnel, and financial backing that has to come through with this. So yeah, a lot of companies just say, it's too much. It's not worth the effort, because they might be exposed for them making claims that they don't have, and really demonstrating that what they have is not worthy. I'll say that again. What they have is not worthy of being published and scrutinized and approved by the experts. So many of them decide not to do it.
Yeah, so you often hear there's an ingredient here that's been scientifically proven in peer-reviewed
studies. That's borrowed
studies.
Science,
right?
Yes. So what they end up doing, is what I referred to earlier, is they end up doing what's called borrowed science, which is what a lot of companies do. They borrow what has been peer-reviewed from other scientists working on a particular substance, and incorporated it, and it may not even be the same version of that originally peer-reviewed substance that was found to be beneficial. For example, they might take a second or third tiered version of it and put it into their products, and then claim that, hey, this has been shown to produce these results. And that's bad science. That's bad marketing.
Or as I've been told, they have enough to list it on the label, but it would really have no medical influence. I'll give you an example. So people were talking about oat bran and an ingredient to help people lose weight. So me, I'm the researcher. I went and looked at it, right? So in the product, there were like 56 milligrams, right? USDA says that in a cup of oat bran, there's like 56,000 milligrams. There's an example of, you talk about nonsense. I mean,
the amounts.
You'd have to take like 2,000 of their pills to have any impact at all.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of that.
Well, I think that's exactly what I wanted to accomplish as we set this series in motion, because I think that's pivotal, that people understand that what we're going to be talking about is only backed by peer-reviewed clinical studies. There's no like messing around here. This is the real deal. And with the skepticism that is well-founded now in the marketplace, I think this is a game changer for everybody, including myself, because that I've had faith, and we've had anecdotes and whatever for 19 and a half years. And until you published those studies 6 months ago, whatever, as you said, not only did we've been looking for the silver bullet, we found it, but now we have the evidence. So I hope everybody understands how significant this is. And I want to thank you for your time today. And I'm really looking forward to the series, really educating the world about what's real and what's not. Okay?
You bet.